Call the council meeting to order tonight. We have a quorum present. Tonight will be led in invocation by Pastor Vince Smith from Cross Point Baptist Church in Sioux Falls. After the invocation, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, so I'd ask everyone to please rise.
Would you pray with me? Our Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the abundant blessings you've given us as the citizens of Sioux Falls. Father, we thank you for these men and women who serve the city and serve us and serve you so faithfully, Father. I pray your blessings on them and pray your wisdom for them. We ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second, Jameson.
Brown moved, Jameson seconded to approve the consent agenda. Further comments on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve this consent agenda will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present have voted. The consent agenda has been approved. 7 yes, 1 excused. Is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
So moved, Benninger.
Benega moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Let's second it. Further comments on the motion to approve the regular agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the regular agenda, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present have voted. The consent agenda has been approved. 7 yes, 1 excused. This is a time that we set aside a period of 5 minutes for anyone that wishes to address the council. We ask that they give their name and their address. So anyone wishing to address the council, please come forward at this time.
Hi, my name is Kenny Halbritter. I live at 900 West 10th. And I spoke here last week, and I'll be very, very brief in reviewing what happened. I've been at that address for 19 years. And I request that the council members would take a few minutes to review the situation, in private, whenever you get a chance to look it over. I spoke about my sidewalk being cleaned on the 22nd without my blessing or approval. And Dave Skanke verbally gave me agreement on the 20th. That was Wednesday. It was 19 below zero. That he would work with me. And I asked about the snow in the street. He says, call the street department. I called. Within a couple of hours, they came out, cleared it off up into the sidewalk. So I thought, boy, this city is working. We're going to go get this all taken care of. I purchased 120 pounds of ice malt, spread it on the Walt side. The 10th Avenue side was pretty well clean. And I started working on Thursday. And I had informed Dave Skanke that I was doing it, and he concurred that he would work with me. On Friday, I came back after 4 o'clock or so, and it was his 71st birthday. I was gone all day, and it was all clean. When I was going to clean it, it was all clean. I called him, asked him about it, and he said, I thought you were going to work with me. And I said, what's going on? He said, I got tired of waiting. So they will be sending you a bill. And the bill is going to be $294 of labor, 5 men, 6 hours. And I had Attorney Gary Colwell listen to that little message on my machine. And that's, $49 an hour, $9.80 per man. It seems exorbitant, 5 men, 6 hours. Well, anyway, part of the rationale I was given was that there was a sense of urgency because the city might be liable if somebody fell. Well, I've been in the insurance business for 30 years and know my homeowner's policy has a clause in there about liability. They would have taken care of it if anybody did fall. And I don't think there was a sense of urgency that it had to be cleaned on Friday. And it wasn't with my knowledge or blessing that it was done. So basically, I feel that even though, according to, I was in violation, well, I'm sorry, I just grabbed here. Mayor Dave Munson, at that meeting last Monday, offered to visit with me. So I arranged to see him and 3 other members, Randy Bartunek, Gary Caldwell, and Bob Litz, and Dave Munson. We all met last Thursday. And I reviewed all this stuff. And Randy Bartunek came up with all the logic and reason for me being in, violation of the city ordinance and that sort of thing. And I didn't think about it at the time, but I was going to remind him again about the fact that I'm liable, have this policyholder, my homeowner's policy that says I have a large chunk of money there in case anybody did fall. So even though he had some pictures of it, the pictures actually helped my case because it showed the whole front cleaned off after the city plow came by. So basically that's my whole presentation. I feel it was unfair and that he violated a verbal agreement by authorizing these people to go out and clean it up. And I also think it's an exorbitant amount anyway. But anyway, that's my message, and I really appreciate it if you would collectively spend a couple of minutes and review this thing and see if we could reevaluate it. I was told last Thursday after I visited with Randy Bartunek that they'd cut me a deal at $67 a month or something if I didn't want to pay it off all at once. But I don't think it's a justified bill because I have been paying taxes for 19 years and never have had a situation like this before. Does anybody have any questions?
Kermit?
Yes. Was there any response in regard to your argument that you had an agreement with Dave Skanke?
No, I didn't get any that kind of response. And that seems to me, the verbal agreements are illegal as far as I understand it, and no one said anything. They just told me about the city being in a responsible position and they didn't want to get sued and that kind of thing. Well, that wouldn't have happened anyway if anybody had fallen.
Yes.
But that's all that occurred at the meeting. When I discussed it with Randy Bartunek later, he said they'd be able to make me a deal. But it seems like a stiff fine for a violation of an ordinance and considering the weather and that sort of thing.
Well, it's particularly bad because I do a lot of walking, and I come across a lot of sidewalks that aren't cleared at all. Now, I don't go and call anybody at the city and get these people in trouble, but so it's kind of a hit and miss thing. You just happen to have somebody call in, and now you're going to be paying almost $300. That is excessive.
Okay.
And if I remember right, and correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the previous year there was 2 complaints, and then you had a complaint last year, and they had kept giving you additional time, and it wasn't getting completed, and so then that's when they had someone come out?
Well, I guess my argument would be that he gave me a verbal agreement that he was going to work with me, and I was working diligently as I could. The ice melt takes hours. It was 19 below zero, and I was making headway. And the next day, on Saturday, it was going to warm up to in the 30s, the 23rd of February. And I think I would have gotten it cleaned by then. I think it's the amount of money also is just $334. They had $40 for salt and $294 labor. I think that's out of line with the type of violation. And particularly since I had the homeowner's insurance, which I have liability to cover if anybody had fallen. I certainly wouldn't want them to fall and get hurt. So,
Dave, you've dealt with this. Dave just happens to be here tonight, Ken, so I want to just see if...
okay.
Dave Skanke, Public Parking. Just like to make a couple things clear to go through some stuff. Number one, Section 3872 is duty to remove. That's the city ordinance. City ordinance is the owner or person in possession of any property abutting on any sidewalk shall keep such sidewalk free from snow and ice and shall remove the snow and ice from that sidewalk within 48 hours after the termination of the snowfall. That's the ordinance. And to make a couple of things clear, Kenny was not correct in his last Monday night when he said that he had lived there for 17 years. That's correct, and that he had never had any sidewalk snow complaints. We, in fact, have 2 documentations of sidewalk snow complaints last year on his property. And we have documentation both times that I worked with him and gave him additional time on both of those complaints last year. This year, again, Kenny had a complaint. We got the complaint after the 48 hours. I gave him an additional 10 days to clean the sidewalk and probably had at least 8 telephone conversations with Kenny trying to work with him, trying to tell him the urgency to get the sidewalk clean, and told him also that we had other citizens call and complain about this address. It got to the point after the 10th day, I talked to Kenny. He said, Kenny, I cannot wait anymore. You are not fulfilling your obligation. I've got citizens calling and complaining on this address. We're going to have to get it done. And so that's what we did. So we were above and beyond what the city ordinance calls for. There were other sidewalk complaints last year. I think that needs to be crystal clear, and that we did, in fact, work with Kenny as much as we possibly can. The ordinance says 48 hours. He had over 10 days to do it, still did not do it.
Kevin?
Thank you, Dave. Just to be clear, did you say that he was given an additional 10 days on this most? Okay.
That's correct.
Much has been made about the bill of some $300. Can you itemize that? The charge has been that it's excessive. I'm not sure paying somebody $10 an hour is an excessive bill, but can you document that?
It was very apparent from the before and after pictures that this sidewalk had not been done for several snowfalls. It was probably 5 to 6 inches of ice. And what the contractors had to do on numerous sidewalks this year is they've had to make several trips back and forth. They've had to use skid loaders. They've had several men actually using ice picks and chopping to get the ice off. And I'll tell you very honestly, it's been a terrible year for ice and snow on sidewalks. And just a footnote with that, we've had close to 1,400 sidewalk snow complaints this year. It has been given our responsibility to enforce the ordinance. We're doing the best we possibly can. We probably have shoveled or had a contractor shovel close to 200 sidewalks this year. And in any case that anyone has called our office and asked for an extension of time, we have always very gracefully done that. But in the same sense, when we do that, I set a time frame that it cannot go on forever. And in this case, in Kenny's situation, I think 10 days was above and beyond what we could do.
Kermit?
Yeah, Dave, he seemed to indicate that he thought he had to have it done by a certain date, and then we have these men coming out and doing it before that date that he thought he had to have it done. Did that happen?
Kenny was informed that I could no longer wait any longer, that it had to be done, or I was going to hire a contractor to do it. And
But
it
did
still
you
was
give him
not
a
done.
firm date?
I'd have to look at the documentation. I did
Because
not bring
you
that
know, my
up.
concern is that if he had a firm date in mind when he had to have it done, and then somehow along the way that got changed.
It never got changed. I mean, I've worked with Kenny last year, worked with him this year. Every time he calls, he needs an extra day. I've given him an extra day. He's called again. He needs an extra day. I've given him an extra day. And finally, when I talked to him, I said, Kenny, it's got to be done. I said, I cannot wait any longer. If it's not done tomorrow by noon, we're going to do it.
Also, another question, too. You mentioned there's been 1,400 complaints about sidewalks.
Correct.
This year so far. Well, you know, I know there's a lot out there that aren't even cleared. Do you have any idea what percent that are not cleared after snowfall?
Well, we've shoveled, or had a contractor shovel close to 200 sidewalks this year.
Yeah, but I know I walk out there. There's a lot that aren't
Well,
taken care
our
of.
policy is we do not go out and purposely solicit sidewalks. It has to be by a citizen complaint. If we went out and canvassed an entire area or canvassed the city, we would never get done.
Well,
These are by citizen complaints. Somebody has called in and complained about these property owners.
And one last question. This is done anonymously, but do you happen to know if it's the same person calling in all the same time on his sidewalk?
On any particular sidewalk?
No, on his sidewalk. I mean, is it the
I
same
couldn't
person?
tell you. I know we had 2 different complaints on his sidewalk. And what makes it very difficult for our department is when we get those citizens that call in after the 5th and the 6th and the 7th day, they're extremely upset that we're not enforcing the ordinance. And a lot of those calls, when we're working with individuals, as the mayor can testify, end up over to his department wondering why we're not enforcing the ordinance.
Okay, Thanks, Dave. Others that wish to address the council for a period of 5 minutes? Anyone else? I see no one coming forward, so we will move on to item number 14.
Item 14 is a special one-day malt beverage license for the Sioux Falls Association of the Deaf to be operated at Communication Services for the Deaf, 3520 South Gateway Boulevard on March 15, 2008, for the 2008 Regional Basketball Tournament, and authorize publication of notice on February 29, 2008, to set the hearing date.
Thank you, Tamara. Lori Hogstead with the City Finance Office. I can answer questions on item 14. And I also have the applicant present tonight, Thomas Cook, if you have questions on the specific event.
Questions of Lori on item number 14? Others that wish to address the council on item number 14? Is there a motion to approve?
Move for approval, Benninga.
Benninga moves. Who seconded? Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments on that motion to approve? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present have voted, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 14 has been approved. Item 15.
Item 15 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing supplemental appropriations.
Gene Ronhorn, Director of Finance for the City of Sioux Falls. This motion is the one we discussed a week or so ago now in the informational meeting. And it is an appropriation. I guess the one thing that I should bring up, there should be an amendment to this to raise the 1.9 million to 2.2 million for the parks and recreation. If you have any other questions, we'll try and answer them for you.
Questions of Gene? Kevin?
Gene, do you have the exact dollar amount? It's, I know the final is 2.254510.
2,254,510.
The original was 1.9, and I don't have the numbers in front of me.
1,958,110.
Thanks.
Further questions of Bob Jamison?
Gene, I had some questions about the arena improvements, 411,000 for lockers. Can someone give us an idea what that entails?
Do you know the difference?
Terry Torkelson, Director of Operations, Sioux Falls Arena. The majority of the project has to do with just ADA upgrades, doorways, changing the bathroom facilities in 4 of them, shower facilities. We're also mounting detachable walls out into the concourses that will provide more meeting space as per the requirements for the Summit League Conference in 2009. And then adding ventilation system upgrades. The system right now to ventilate the locker rooms is basically just airflow through vents in the doorway, which for a major turnover event like this or state basketball tournaments really isn't adequate. And then also adding an officials locker room, which will allow us to have male and female refs at the same time, which we currently have some difficulties with the NBA D-League. Also, when we do state wrestling tournament, you've got 20 officials. The officials locker room is literally the size of a household locker or bathroom facility. So. Any specific questions?
Terry, this morning I had a call from someone involved with the Stampede. They were concerned because the sports organizations have not been consulted at all in the remodels. Do you have plans to work with them? I understand that they've put some investment into the...
There are some locker rooms the Stampede has. The architect, Miller, Sellers, and Hero, to our knowledge, did contact the sports teams and get input.
I think early on, but my understanding is that there has been no contact since.
It was based on that plan that was originally done. So
okay. Can you make sure that the sports teams are involved and their input is taken in whatever investment they've had that is taken care of as well?
You bet.
All right. Thank you.
Further, Kermit?
Yes, I was wondering if you could also speak about the issue that private funding had been offered to do some of this improvements. Now, I've asked this question before, but I've never really gotten a satisfactory answer. Why aren't we using some private funding that was offered?
Okay, I would have to refer to Mike on that one.
Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services. I'll just repeat my earlier answer that when we first were approached about doing this project, there was discussion about whether it would be a public-private partnership. And as the city council and the mayor discussed that this is a city facility and that we believe that in moving this forward, it should be the city's responsibility to pay for the improvements. And so that's how we came to presenting you with this CIP amendment tonight, which is now, including engineering, it would be $411,200.
I guess I have a question again, and that is, why isn't the city taking money that is privately offered? I mean, I still haven't got an answer for that. You know, why can't the city save some money instead of being so eager to pay for the whole amount when private money was offered? I still haven't got an answer.
Well, you know, it was really felt, we've talked about this, and Kermit, and it is city property, and we felt that, you know, the private sector steps up for a lot of different things that we do in Sioux Falls, and they will in the future continue to do this, and this was some physical upgrades that we needed to do out at the arena. You look where it was built, in 61, 62, and times have changed as far as number of officials, and so looking at that project, we determined that this would be probably the city responsibility, and that's the way we chose to fund it. Other questions? Go ahead.
I have a question with regard to the entertainment tax convention center expenditures. Anyone here from convention center?
Am I okay? Is it a financial question, or?
Both. There was mention last week, Gene, that there was a considerable amount of deferred maintenance that we could be spending more than this $100,000, and there were good projects that the money could be spent on. We do have a balance, an unreserved a balance in the entertainment tax. There was some discussion about perhaps drawing down maybe a little bit more. I'd just be curious if we gave them another $100,000, what they would spend it on.
Okay, there's someone here that can give you a little layout of that.
Allie Brackett, Director of Sales and Marketing at the Sioux Falls Convention Center. The additional $100,000, the additional repairs we've identified would be roof repair and replacement, air wall repair and replacement, and interior-exterior door and hardware replacement.
Allie, those were, I believe, probably the original projects that this money would have been spent on, but another priority came up with the network that superseded that. Is that correct?
I believe the network is not coming out of it.
The network is included in this amendment right now.
Yes.
We have two different budget items pertaining to the convention center. We have an OSEP budget.
Okay.
And in the OSEP, which is $100,000, the convention center has identified two projects that they would like to substitute for the two that were in there. And those include, as we had presented this to you, in the original 2008 OSEP was an identification system for $75,000 and two portable dance floors at $25,000, totaling $100,000. The convention center has asked us to submit an amendment tonight that would substitute for those two projects a scrubber, a network upgrade, and one portable dance floor, which would equal the $100,000.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
So that's not any additional funding.
Okay.
The other 100 that you're talking about would be what we call deferred maintenance, and that's a separate amendment that we had talked about adding into the budget this year.
Yes, and my only concern was if we were to offer that an additional $100,000 for deferred maintenance, what would they use it for? And,
Okay.
I think they've identified some priorities that need to be taken care of.
The first priority was replacing the carpet, and then these other projects would equal just over another 100,000. So hopefully that clarifies it for you.
Further questions?
Gene, it's my understanding that the improvements that we're talking about this evening are also part of the agreement that the city of Sioux Falls signed with the Summit League in their commitment to the community for X amount of time?
That's the part on the arena net.
Correct.
The 411,000 for, if you need part of that for the locker rooms and that kind of stuff. Yes, that's part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Probably most of it.
Further questions on item number 15? Others that wish to address the council on item number 15? Anyone else? Not, let's close it and talk, close it to the council discussion and action. First of all, we need a motion to approve, and then if there's anything else.
Move for approval.
Kavanaugh moved, is there a second?
Second, let's.
Let's second it. Okay, we're good. Further comments or motions that we have on item number 15?
Mr. Mayor, I have a substitute motion.
Okay.
A substitute motion was passed around to everyone here, and essentially it takes the original amendment or motion and adds to it the $296,000 or some change that the Parks and Recs needed, and also adds $1.9 million to Public Works Streets for mill and overlay, and $1.9 million to Public Works Engineering for development-driven roads.
So you have 296 for parks and then 1.9 for mill?
Yeah, the 296
What's the other 1.9 for?
Public Works Engineering for development-driven streets.
Okay, and that's just a motion to amend the, at this point. You're just.
Okay.
Is there a second to your motion?
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconded. So that takes, that's coming out of the reserves of the second penny? What does that take the second penny down to? Or the second, what does that take that down to? Do we know? Do you know, Gene?
That's going to take this motion would take the second penny down to approximately $1 million that we will have left. That's down from 4.3 million where we started at. And that's getting pretty tight as far as if we want to use any money for any unforeseen opportunities that we don't have on the books at this point or haven't on the horizon. We normally don't cut things quite that close, but they are doable.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Gene, are we sure on those numbers? I thought that essentially that would spend virtually all of the $7.1 million that was left over at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, and you said $1 million, so where's the
It will spend it all. I was misspoke on the 900,000. It will pretty much have it all spent.
Okay. And I guess if I could speak to the motion, the idea behind it is that we are demonstrating our commitment to the citizens and the developers both by, one, working on mill and overlay to extend the life of our roads, and then also to spend the additional money left over from the end of last year to go towards the $81 million backlog in over the next 5 years of development-driven roads. The notion, I guess, Gene, I would ask you a question. We are approximately $1.5 million under our bid estimates so far this year, aren't we?
So far, and I don't know that 1.5 million, in fact, we don't know that 1.5 million all applies to sales tax. There's probably some entertainment, not entertainment, but the enterprise fund money in there.
I believe, yeah.
But we haven't dimensioned what that number is yet. At least I haven't seen it yet.
Do we have any enterprise funds and money in the 85th Street project as well?
I don't. Normally, there is enterprise funds in almost all of those projects, particularly water and water rec.
Mark, can you answer that?
Mark Cotter, the Office of Public Works. There is enterprise fund money in 85th Street.
Mark, would you have any idea how much of the $1.5 million that apparently we're under so far is enterprise and how much of it is second penny?
In that particular project?
Well, overall.
I don't. There's been a number of projects we've got. We can certainly provide a breakdown for you. But there's one of the things that occurs after you bid a project like that. They can range anywhere from 200 to 300 bid items. And so after the bid letting, we go through the audit process to make sure that the math is right, and then we start to cost code each bid item to the right GL number. And 85th Street did just get done, and then now we're working on 57th Street. And so those numbers, they take us a little while to prepare those.
Kevin?
Speaking to the motion, I just want to emphasize to everyone that, remind this council that this $7.1 million is not money we just found laying around someplace. It's left over from last year. It's money that represents savings for projects that came in under budget and we got good bids on. Those are a total of a lot of projects, many of which I'm sure were street projects. So the maker and the second of this motion are simply trying to send a message that we need to keep this money in public works. If it was originally spent on streets, we think it's important. We think it's a priority that we address this backlog of development-driven projects particularly. We've been told that we've got a situation that is, bordering on a crisis. Well, we need to take care of that. And I think this is a $2 million down payment on that. And it just speaks to the fact that we need to fund what our priorities are. I am soundly in favor of the park projects, but if I had to choose between the two, I would fund the street projects first. I think we have a way to fund all of it, and that is the essence of our motion, and I would urge your support.
Brennan?
Question for Mark Cotter. Mark, this amendment amounts to $3.8 million for development-driven streets and mill overlay. Just so the citizens know, talk to us about the dollar amounts that we've gone above and beyond in streets for this year's budget, too. Can you give us those numbers again?
I can. We had a fairly major increase from 2007 to 2008 on the mill and overlay. I'll just talk in general numbers. We went up from about $3.5 million to $6 million. And so that equates to more purchasing power, more blocks that we can cover. We also, a part of that program, we brought back in the neighborhood restoration program, which this year, in addition to doing the mill and overlay, we're doing 11 reconstructing blocks in Cathedral and about 5 in Whittier. And so those two pieces alone significantly step that program up. We also, as part of that, we have a significant amount of seal coating that we'll do. This year we'll do up to about 470 blocks of seal coating. We'll do about 270 blocks of mill and overlay. And so we've got, you're going to certainly see us out there with pavement management this year. The development-driven portion, the 2007 dollar amount and this year amount is the same. We had $5 million last year and we have $5 million this year. This amendment would take that up an additional 1.9. Just keep in mind, one of the things that we always do is we always try to over-program that project. Meaning if we've got $5 million, we will probably try to recommend more projects than that amount. If we get out there and we have certain design elements that slow the process down, maybe there's significant right-of-way to purchase. And so right now that job is over-programmed. And so this additional, those 5 projects that have been recommended for development-driven from a design standpoint are looking good. And so this additional $2 million will certainly get us closer to making sure we can fulfill those commitments on those 5 recommended projects.
Thank you.
Further questions? Go ahead, Bob Jameson.
Pat, just for explanation purposes, what will be the total dollars for Park and Rec? Does that change from 2.254 to 1.942?
Yes.
Okay.
Under
that's
the proposed,
change.
yep.
Okay.
It includes the necessary money for that.
Okay.
Gene, if you take that 7.1, you take it down to 0, then if the sales tax doesn't come in, or Is there any, what are the downsides of this?
This is leftover money that we have, so it's not, we don't have the concern of 08 not coming in, but what you are doing, the council should be aware of this, you are really tying your hands, because you have spent all of the money. If any contracts come in over, and I know we've got something in the area of $1.5 million that we've already realized some savings on, but if you run over that, you don't have any more money to spend, and you're going to have to unwind some of this, or we would have to forego the opportunities that come up. I guess I would, clearly the council can do this, and the neat thing about the sales tax is when you run out of money, you just stop spending. But the thing is, I don't see the need for doing this today, right, the entire $4 million. You can always do that 60 days from now, 90 days from now, and not tie your hands the way you're doing it. Otherwise, like I say, you're really tying your hands, and you're not giving yourself any room to wiggle if if the dominoes don't all tip right.
Just to respond, over the past 5 years, we've had, on average, $5 to $6 million per year that has been saved in this sales tax CIP fund. So this is not an unusual occurrence. It's a little bit higher than normal, but it is not unusual. With regard to spending it now, I think we need to program it now for a couple of reasons. First of all, before we get into if we wait 60 days, we're into the construction season, it's going to be hard to catch up. I think we need to give Public Works the opportunity now to program this money and get it into the pipeline. Secondly, I'll repeat myself, I think we are sending a message here that if we really believe that fixing our streets and taking care of our backlog of development-driven street projects is a priority, then we need to fund it. And as I said before, if I had to choose between parks and the streets, I would go with the streets. But I think we have the opportunity here to fund both of them.
Further questions? Bob Jameson.
Well, I think in response, Gene, that if, as the year goes through, if a project that's going to be later can be delayed or whatever, so that you've got the dollars available at the time you let the contract is what you really are concerned about. Is that correct?
I guess I would just like to make a couple of comments. First of all, last year when I introduced the additional $1 million to the streets, I think that we saw some street improvements. Unfortunately, I don't think that the general public currently sees the kind of improvements that they would like to see. If you drive the streets currently, there is a number of issues that need to be corrected. By us adding this $1.9 million to this year's budget, which again was a reserve from last year, I think we're sending a message again to the community that our priority is the streets, which is probably the most used asset that this community has, used by the majority of the taxpayers, and that's why I added the $1.9 million to this amendment. I feel pretty strongly that the streets have a higher usage rate, have a higher expectancy from the community taxpayers than Parks and Rec, and I believe very strongly again that this ought to be a priority, and I would endorse and hope that everybody would approve this amendment.
Pat?
Gene, on the general fund, we were, end of the year, $11 million over our 25% threshold that we established as a goal.
In the general fund, it was something like that, yes.
And if push comes to shove and our sales tax receipts were lower than expected or we got in a jam, we could, by ordinance, spend some of that money if necessary.
You can by ordinance. It's an awful slippery slope to start down.
Further comments? Got a motion before us. Everybody understand that motion? All right, everybody understands the motion. All those in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no.
Councilmember Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. That motion passes. Other motions?
I would move that we increase the convention center entertainment tax fund from $100,000 to $200,000. That is not sales tax, it is entertainment tax. And it would be specifically used for the backlog of deferred maintenance projects that need to be taken care of on the convention center.
Second, Litz.
Let's second it. Kavanaugh made the motion. Let's second it. Further comments on that motion?
Clarification. You're saying that we would take an additional $100,000 out of the entertainment tax fund, is that correct?
Mr. Chairman? Yes, that is correct. We would go from 100,000, which is currently in the motion, to 200,000.
The net effect of what we'd be doing is taking 2009, if you remember, you have a schedule that goes for 5 years on the fund, on the entertainment tax fund, and we've got programmed in there money for deferred maintenance, and you'd be accelerating one of those years, which is really not an issue. That if you want to do that, that's fine.
Further comments on that motion to amend? Not all in favor of the motion to amend, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present voted. That motion has been approved. 7 yes, 1 excused. Other motions? Not. We've got a motion to approve item number 15, and that motion has been amended. So further comments on the motion as amended? Kermit?
Yeah, I'm glad that we passed the amendment to increase the funding for the streets, the $1.9 million. Because I agree, we have to send a message to the people of Sioux Falls about this. But I wish we'd send a stronger message, because there's other monies that we're voting on tonight that could have gone to the streets. I mean, I wish we were spending an additional $2.5 million more than this $2 million that we're dealing with right now. That would be a better way to send the message, because some of this money we're voting on tonight is not really for needs. It's just simply for wants. And so consequently, once again, I'm glad we have the $1.9 million, but I think it would have been better to have a stronger message by having a couple million more. And so because of that, I guess I'm going to vote against this ultimately, because we're just simply spending too much money on wants instead of the needs.
Further comments? Not all in favor of the motion to approve item 15 as amended will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 15 has been approved as amended. Item 16.
Item 16 is a first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, transferring real property to the Affordable Housing Program as established by ordinance number 10107.
I'm Dwight McElhaney with Community Development. On February 4th, the City Council approved the property exchange of a vacant lot owned by the city. This is 509 South 4th Avenue for 609 South Elmwood Avenue, a distressed rental property. This transaction has been completed. This ordinance allows a transfer of 609 South Elmwood Avenue to Sioux Falls Housing Corporation for development and Community Development's Neighborhood Revitalization Program. Answer any questions?
Questions of Dwight on item number 16?
Dwight, is this property at
Just a second. Gerald, I recognize. Sorry, Bob.
About time I took your spot. No, I'm kidding. Can you give us the valuation of both of those pieces of property so we have an idea of what we're transferring back and forth?
Well, the transfer already took place, but when the transfer happened, we had the vacant lot appraised at $22,500, and the developer had paid about $30,000 for this rental property that was done in the exchange.
Further questions, Bob Jameson? Or Bob Litz, I should say.
Gerald's question.
Okay. Other questions of Dwight on item 16? Others who want to address council item number 16? Is there a motion to approve item 16?
Move for approval, Jamison.
Jameson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Yeah, I've set the hearing date, excuse me, for March 17th for that item. So all in favor of setting the hearing date will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present voted. The hearing date has been set for March 17th for item 16. Item 17.
Item 17 is a resolution advising and giving consent to the appointment of members to certain citizen boards.
Questions on those?
Move for approval.
Move for approval. Benning, is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Brown.
Brown seconded. Further comments on that motion? Not all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. The others opposed, no.
Councilmembers Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
All members present voted, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 17 has been approved. Item 18.
Item 18 is a resolution declaring the necessity to grade gravel, construct curb and gutter with driveway approaches, construct sidewalk.
Oh, it'll be noted that Councilmember Jameson will be excused from item 18.
Construct sidewalk, storm sewer, asphalt surfacing, streetlights, water main, and sanitary sewer on West 85th Street from South Louise Avenue to South Minnesota Avenue, and Southwestern Avenue from West Bitterroot Street to 1,200 feet south of West 85th Street, and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
Good evening, Chad Heavey, Office of Public Works, Engineering Division. These portions of 85th Street and Western Avenue are unpaved rural sections. 85th Street will be graded to a 4-lane median section, and the north 2 lanes will be paved with sidewalk. Western Avenue will be graded for a 4-lane median section, with 3 lanes being paved and sidewalk installed on both sides of the street. This project is a continuation of the grading and water main installation that was completed last year. There are 15 properties that may be assessed for these improvements. Bids were opened on February 21st, with the low bid just under $6 million.
Questions of Chad on item number 18? Kermit?
Yeah, Chad, how much are these 15 property owners going to be paying approximately?
Well, if every property owner was assessed for all of the costs that there would be benefited to, the total would be $1.6 million. However, there is several of these properties that, at this point, we don't know if they're going to want access to 85th Street or Western Avenue. So the most that would be assessed is 1.6. But as some of this land that's undeveloped develops, we'll know. What this really does is just, it puts them on notice that if they do have access to Western or 85th Street, they could be assessed.
Further questions, Chad, on item 18? Others that wish to address the council on item number 18? Not, is there a motion?
Move to approve, Brown.
Brown moves, is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison. Kavanaugh.
Yes.
All members present have voted. We have 5 yes, 1 excused, and 1 no, and 2 excused. Item 18 has been approved. Item 19.
Item 19 is a resolution declaring the necessity to grade gravel, construct curb and gutter with driveway approaches, construct sidewalk, storm sewer, asphalt surfacing, and streetlights on South Bonson Avenue from East 57th Street to East Mission Street, and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
This portion of Bonson Avenue is a paved, half-urban, half-rural section. The east half will be constructed to an urban section, and sidewalk will be installed on the west side. There are 12 properties that will be assessed for these improvements. The cost estimate is $400,000, and the majority of these costs will be assessed. There was no opposition voiced at the public meeting.
Questions of Chad on item number 19? Others that wish to address the council on item 19? Is there a motion to approve?
Move for approval, Jamison.
Jamison moved. Is there a second?
Second, Benega.
Benega seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
No.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
All members present voted. 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 19 has been approved. Item 20.
Item 20 is a resolution declaring the necessity to grade, gravel, construct curb and gutter with driveway approaches, construct sidewalk, storm sewer, asphalt surfacing, and streetlights on North Career Avenue from 1,100 feet south of West Hickman Street to West Benson Road, and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
This portion of Career Avenue is a two-lane paved rural section. It will be constructed to an urban section with sidewalks on both sides of the street. Career Avenue is an urban section from Maple Street to the construction limits of this project to the north. There are 12 affected properties that will be assessed for these improvements. The cost estimate is $850,000, and the majority of these costs will be assessed. The affected property owners support the project. It's my understanding that you have received a letter from one of the project owners. That project owner and another project owner are working out a drainage issue that we hope to have resolved before construction begins.
Questions, Chad, on item number 20? Kermit?
Yeah, on the cost of the $850,000, in our notes, it says all costs will be assessed.
Here I said the majority of these costs. There is going to be some city costs on
There will
this.
be. Do you know how much the city might be paying?
It's probably under 10%.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions, Chad, on item number 20? Others that wish to address the council? Your name and address, please.
My name's Damian Grebel, Earhart Griffin and Associates, 300 North Dakota Avenue, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, 57104. I'm here tonight to represent Gene Pesca. He couldn't be here tonight, and he is one of the property owners. He actually owns 4 of the properties, A through D on your map. He asked me to come here and just state again that he is for this project contingent upon us finding a resolution on some storm drainage issues, working with city staff and some of the adjacent property owners to resolve those issues. As soon as we can get those worked out, he will full-heartedly support this project.
Thank you, Amy. Questions? Thank you. Others that wish to address the council on item number 20? Not. Council discussion or action?
Move to approve. Let's
moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Litz?
Yes.
Councilmember Staggers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 20 has been approved. Item 21.
Item 21 is a resolution declaring the necessity to grade gravel, construct curb and gutter with driveway approaches, construct sidewalk, storm sewer, asphalt surfacing, streetlights, water main, and sanitary sewer on North Hillcrest Avenue from East 54th Street North to East 57th Street North, and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
This portion of Hillcrest Avenue is a gravel road. It will be constructed to an urban section. 54th Street North and 57th Street North are paved streets. There are 25 affected properties that will be assessed for these improvements. The cost estimate is approximately $525,000, and the majority of these costs will be assessed. The owners of approximately 54% of the street footage support the project.
Questions, Kermit?
Yeah, Chad, so 46% do not support it? Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Yeah. And also, too, there's not going to be any sidewalk?
Correct. We've sat down and talked with this as a staff. There is very limited right-of-way out here. There is no sidewalk in any of this area, in this part of town, so there's no continuity with any type of sidewalk. But if it becomes a priority, we would have that option to order it in.
Well, I think it's good that, since there's no need for it, not to have a sidewalk. So that's good.
Bob Blitz.
Chad, you said it was, the cost would be $525. I have in my notes here, it's $252,000. Was that a misprint here, or did you?
I think 525 is, I think that number's accurate. I must have made a misprint or a typo when I sent that.
Very good. Thanks, Chad.
Pat?
Chad, just going back from a couple of weeks ago, we had about our sidewalk plan. Again, why doesn't this particular project qualify under that plan, or why sidewalks aren't required? I'm curious as to the conflict.
I sat down with staff and with Jeff Muntz. We had a discussion about this. Right now, there's a very low priority for sidewalk out here. There's no other sidewalk in this area. I mean, we recognize it that this is an area that we need to, at some point, we'll need sidewalk, but the priority right now is very low. We do have limited right-of-way, so that's another reason why we're not going to install sidewalk. But if the priority does come to fruition and we do receive some complaints, we have notified the property owners that we could order it in. As this land redevelops, we are going to encourage that they build it if they redevelop their land.
So as opposed to Westport, this, we're not going to be violating our plan, so to speak?
No, Westport had continuity. The bike trails were close. We plan on going in and getting sidewalk next up in that area on Maple Street over to the bike trail.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions of Chad on item 21? Others that wish to address the council on item number 21? Name and address, please.
My name is Dean Wilson. I reside at 25793 Country Lane in Renner. I'm one of the property owners along the proposed project. I was questioning the figures that he gave too, because when I met with Sayers' office on this meeting on, I think it was Thursday, December 13th, the figure that I was given for one lot, which is 82.3 of frontage, was like $17,000. They said it would affect 25 lots. There's actually 30 lots there. I don't know how they got down to 25. There's 15 on each side of the street. And if you take 17,000 times 30, I think you're going to come up to about $500,000. That's the way I would figure it if we're all paying the same amount. I'm one of the ones, I guess you can tell, that's definitely against it. When I first took a poll on the people that were against it, it was 18 against to 12 that were for it when it first started, about 60%. After we had the first meeting with Sayers, then some of the city officials says, well, we can run up sewer and water and so forth. The estimate I got when I said just leave the project as it is was about $17,000. And all that included was curb and gutter and a blacktop street. Now we're talking storm sewers, lights, possible water and sewer, and I think it should be deferred until the people that own this land get a more exact expected price on what they're going to have to pay on the total package. I know there are a few people that have changed their mind because of the water and sewer, but when I purchased that land a few years ago, one of those lots is only about $2,000. I'm looking at making improvements that are going to be 6 to 8 times what I paid for the property. I was given different percentages. I met with Gary Colwell a couple times to get the figures actually straight and get the city regulations on the percentage that needed to defeat it. I was given 60, 65%, and when it came out, it's like 50% or more has to be for it. So Lyle DeFries was not able to be here tonight. He's definitely against it also. He has lots 7, 8, 9, and 10 storage units. He doesn't even have any access to that property. He would never use any streets or anything to go off of his property to the east. There are other people, I'm sure, that would like to be here at this time, but they haven't showed up, and I haven't been able to really rally with everybody else. But I guess due to the cost, and I'm really not sure exactly where we're at by adding in the storm sewer and so forth. There is water up to the top of the hill on the east side of the property coming from 57th Street, so I actually have a water main right on my property now, and I can have access to sewer by going behind and hooking up to the Jelwyn property and possibly running my sewer to the north. But as far as purchasing that land to speculate on, it just doesn't figure out for me to put 6 to 7, 8 times what I paid for the property to put in a street that I won't even use. I think it should be reverted back at the very least to the same way that 57th Street was improved. I do own property in that area, and I have other property on other streets in that area. And when that thing finally played out, it came down to the deal that because of the expense, the people that own the property there did not have to pay the assessments until such time as they either sold or built on these lots. So I guess if nothing else, I would hope it'd be deferred till we get some more exact costs.
Questions?
Thank you.
Others that wish to address the council? I thank you very much. We don't, come forward and give your name and address, please.
My name is Dave DeMartelier, 401 East 2nd Avenue, Elkton, South Dakota. I've got 5 properties there, and I'm for the project. I've tried to add on to my business, excuse me, and I can't because they said it's got to have curb and gutter, so I'm at a standstill. When I signed for my property, when they give me a building permit, I had to sign a waiver saying that I could not object to a road. And I believe there's other parties that also do. I'm in favor of it because I'd like to add on.
Questions?
Value of the property would go up for me, so that's all I got to say.
Dave, in terms of your particular interest here, obviously you want to develop that property. Is there other development? Are the other property owners interested in developing too?
Yes, sir. I know of one gentleman that bought one parcel, and he'd like to be able to put sewer and water in, and he can't do anything till that's done.
So really, this is what's stopping people from developing those lots?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Kermit?
Yeah, just to clarify, you said that to add on your business, the city will not allow you to add on to your business until...
City will not allow me to build anything. I can't build a shed on there until I have a road.
You agree to this. You can't get a building permit until you agree.
I've tried to go through the city and get a building permit, and they said no, not until.
But if you support the project, yes, you'll get one.
Dave, are you in the trucking business?
Yes, I am.
Okay, is it difficult from time to time to get your truck up the road, especially in springtime?
Not as far as getting them from point A to point B, but we spend about an hour and a half on each truck to wash them. And before it gets half block down the road, we're dirty. So on an economic standpoint, yeah, it'd be nice to have paved roads, so cut down our maintenance a lot.
Very
Really
good.
help us out.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Kermit?
Yeah, if I could just ask another question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, I think the reason you're supporting this project is so you can have a building permit to add on to your business. Is that?
That's partially, but
Yes.
I would love to have
Sure.
a road so that.
But if you could get a building permit without having to support this, would you support it then or not?
Yes, I would.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Bob Jameson.
Not necessarily a question, but drainage has been a problem up there
Yes.
for as long as I can remember, and until they get the drainage solved, getting in and out of some of that property is going to be a tough situation. And,
Yes, sir.
back to the question about water and sewer. Was that, yes, Chad? This includes water and sewer in this proposal, does it not?
Yes, this would include, there is some water main along there, and there is some sewer along there, but this would now build this street to a complete urban section with asphalt pavement, curb and gutter, street lights, utilities.
Very good, thank you.
Kermit?
Yeah, Chad, I'm not sure if you can answer this question or not, but is this a common practice not to give somebody a building permit unless they agree to a street project?
I guess we discourage any type of development or redevelopment on a gravel road.
So this is common.
Sometimes it does happen.
Does it sound like it's wrong to do?
Well, I think there's an expectation from staff and from the citizens that we build and redevelop on paved streets.
I don't have it myself. I don't have an expectation that hey, you give me I'll give you a building permit, but you have to agree to this. I mean, I don't have that kind of expectation.
I guess gravel roads in the city do cause some headaches. There's a dust issue, there's a maintenance issue. I mean, the street department is more geared up to maintain paved streets versus gravel roads.
Bob Jameson.
I would just suggest that Kermit go try to drive up there in about 1 month and see how it makes
It's not good now.
Yeah. But no, I guess I would suggest that we should be very concerned, because if this is done in the private sector, this is illegal. And so I guess I'm very concerned, once again, saying the only way you can get a building permit is to play ball with us and go along with the street project. I have a problem with that.
We do understand the concerns that some of the opposition has. We have worked through two public meetings to enable us to have this 50+%. The numbers that we have, the estimate of $525,000 is an estimate. We've had a very good competitive bid market, so there's a good chance that that number is on the high end. But, I mean, it's got to be bid.
Kevin?
I would just like to comment on the comment about playing ball with the city. I don't think it anything near approaching that. I think there are legitimate reasons why people should expect to have paved streets in front of their house or the businesses that they live in, work at, or visit, and I think the rest of the community expects that other people do the same. And that's the bottom line. This project will not only provide for the paved streets, but it also is going to take care of street lighting issues, storm sewer problems, the drainage issue that was talked about up there. I don't know how we can build around something like this and expect to have a development up there. It just doesn't happen.
And we are receiving other interest in developing in that area.
Bob Litz.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Chad, I know this is an industrial area, and I've also been aware of criminal activity taking place up there because of the subdued lighting, burglaries, this type of activity. But really, my question had to do with this year. Since it is an industrial area and looking at the nature and uses of the street, is this going to be, how thick is the concrete? Is this going to be built to industrial standards?
This will be an asphalt street. I would assume it would be our normal street section with 6 inches of asphalt, or possibly 5 inches of asphalt over 9 inches of base.
Very good, thank you.
Further, Kermit?
Yeah, I guess in regard to this whole issue, I guess I would say the ends do not justify the means. And I think the means that sometimes are being used here are not appropriate for the ends.
I guess we're just trying to provide a safe, cost-effective, and efficient public infrastructure system for the citizens.
But once again, the ends do not justify the means.
Kevin?
I thought I saw someone from the fire department here earlier. I'm wondering if they'd like to comment on going out and trying to put out a fire on a gravel road in March where there's mud up to their knees.
Don Hill, Fire Department. We have worked with building services and engineering in the past to ensure that when building permits are issued, at least there have been in new areas of the city compacted gravel with about an 8-inch base, I think it is, if I remember correctly. But there are some times when there are building permits issued in newer areas of town when there are gravel roads, and we have had to deal with that. And it's very difficult, as you can imagine, to put a fire truck that weighs about 70,000 pounds on a gravel road.
Questions? Thanks, Don. Others that wish to address the council on item number 21, name and address.
Can I just make a comment, again, in reference to how the city works out on those permits? I know I talked to Dave Demontelaire previously on his building, and when he built it, he had to sign that he wouldn't contest it if they came through with the street. T&R Contracting, Terry and Dana Gobronson, who are just developed a project up on 60th Street, and as you very well know, they actually bid and put in a lot of the city streets. Sycamore was one they did here just a few years ago. But I talked to Terry several times in the last few months. He definitely would be opposed to it also, but when he got a call, what could he say? He'd already signed when he got his building permit that he'd never oppose it. So that's, it's kind of like a catch-22. If you want to build, you got to sign up, boys. My son-in-law built a building on National right around the corner on 57th and National a couple of years ago. He since sold it. Same thing. In order for him to get a building permit, he had to sign that if that street was ever extended from 57th to 54th, he couldn't contest it. Well, he sold the building, so it doesn't matter. But the way the grading is there, it'll probably never go through because most of the property owners are back of trucking sites off a cliff that don't need it. But Hillcrest right now is a decent gravel road as far as I'm concerned. Dave's Trucks goes down it, and I'm sure it packs it and compacts it real good every day. But just to comment on what happened there.
Kermit?
So in effect, the city is forcing people to sign away their rights to protest something.
Right, and that's another thing that came up in the discussion. I don't have any problem with it because I don't plan on building a building there myself personally on that lot.
Yeah.
There's other choices and other lots I have in the area that would be better for me, I guess. In fact, I bought an acre and a half up there in Terry's development here in January up along the interstate there. And the curb, gutter, streets, lights, everything are in because Terry bought it and developed it. But, to say that, hey, in order for you to sign a building, you've got to, or have a building, you got to sign up right now. I just don't think it's right. And another thing to reiterate again, we have never been given total cost for water and sewer. All we've been, the cost that I've seen, $17,000 on one lot, only included the curb, gutter, and the street, asphalt street. The resolution says sidewalk. I mean, he previously said, no, we're going to throw out the sidewalks, but I'd still like to see some hard and firm figures, so I hope you at least defer it.
Kevin?
Well, with regard to signing some agreement, I suppose the alternative is to not allow any development on any street that doesn't have proper infrastructure to serve it. Now, if that's what people want the city to do, then fine. I guess that's the approach they can take. But I think they're giving people the opportunity to develop their business, and I don't see anything wrong with asking them to agree to put streets in later.
Well, Dave already has a building there that he's built several years ago, and this came about because all he wanted to do was put on another wash bay or something for a truck. He's already got his building. Terry's had a building there for several years. But there are two people that would sway it one way or the other, and their hands are tied.
Okay, Kermit, quick question.
Yeah, I've got to ask the city attorney about what the city is engaged in here. Is this legal? To be able to force people to sign away their right to protest something like this, just to get a building permit?
Yes.
It's legal to extort this from people.
It's not extortion, it's a condition of the building permit.
Others that wish to address the
Other
council
people
on
say
item number
different.
21. Others that wish to address the council on item 21. Not. Is there a motion to approve, or is there a motion?
Move for approval, Jamison.
Second, Kavanaugh.
Jamison, second. Kavanaugh, seconded. Jamison made the motion. Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve item 21? Not all in favor of that motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Mayor, if I could.
Okay.
That area up there has been a problem area for at least 20 years, and I don't think it's going to change unless we get together and build streets up there so it can develop. Otherwise, it's going to be the same thing as it's been for the last 20 years. Just Dean, you bought it as an investment, and I would guess it'll be worth more with the street improved than it is without it. The whole issue has been a problem of access in that area for whatever reason. Anybody wants to build up there, they've had trouble getting to it, and I would encourage the support.
Further comments, Kermit?
Well, with our discussion tonight, I think we can understand why 54% of the affected property owners support this project. Because I guess I would suggest that some of those 54% had to sign away their right to protest this. And this is totally inappropriate. The city should not be engaged in this kind of activity.
Okay, we've got a motion made and seconded to Take the vote on item 21, so all in favor of that vote will vote yes, opposed will vote no.
Councilmember Lutz.
Yes.
Staggers.
No.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 21 has been approved. Item 22.
Item 22 is a resolution declaring the necessity to grade, gravel, construct curb and gutter, construct sidewalk, storm sewer, asphalt surfacing, and streetlights on the west half of South Meredith Avenue from West Bitterroot Street to 900 feet north and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
It'll be noticed that Councilmember Jameson will be excused from this vote.
This portion of Meredith Avenue is a paved, half-urban, half-rural section. The west half will be constructed to an urban section with sidewalk. There are 3 affected properties that will be assessed for these improvements. The cost estimate is $125,000, and approximately 80% of these costs will be assessed. 2 of the affected property owners support the project but do not support the assessments.
Questions of Chad on item number 22? Others that wish to address the council on item number 22, come forward and give your name and address, please.
Todd Marceau, 2808 West Bitterroot. I'm on the corner of Bitterroot and Meredith. Myself and Mr. Wallace do support the project. We just do not support the cost of it, simply because this originally was platted to be a arterial street, which in our understanding does not cost us to put this street in. Changes have been made to the development out there, and now it's just going to be a collector street, so now they're saying we have to pay for it.
Questions? Thank you very
Was
much.
that, if I could ask a question?
Sure.
Was that given in writing to you, or was that a verbal statement?
It was a verbal. A little bit of what's happened is originally that was going to be Kiwanis Avenue. And the property owners to the south, I don't know exactly how many property owners there is, a dozen, 15, did not want Kiwanis to go through. That was eliminated, and basically it left 3 property owners with half a street already put in, and it was developed for an arterial street. I mean, there's been tons of grading gone on. I've lost trees and sprinkler system and everything else over the deal, and now they're saying, you know, it wasn't going to cost me, but now it is.
Chad, you want to respond?
First on 2 issues. That portion of Kiwanis Avenue was never going to be an arterial. It was platted as 33 feet of right-of-way on that west half, which would be indicative of a collector street. Yes, he is correct in that south of here from Bitterroot Street down to 85th Street, it was realigned, but it was able to be realigned because there was not any street being built at that time. Whereas north of here, the half of the roadway was built.
Questions of Chad on item 22. Others that wish to address the council on item number 22? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Benega.
Benega moves. Is there a second?
Second,
Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve item 22?
Chad, when they had the whole discussion about straightening this street, I know that was somewhat very controversial. Can you tell me what percentage of the neighborhood favored your conclusion and what you've come to here?
Favored the project just on this little stretch?
No,
or the
whole project when it needed to be redone.
I'll have Mark address that.
Maybe we can go back. You do remember that in late 2006, we worked with that neighborhood. The land that was immediately to the east was not developed, and so we were able to realign. We had extensive discussions with all those houses south of Bitterroot, and they did support the realignment. Chad was right. It was understood that this piece north would always stay on this alignment. We communicated that in those public meetings. I think one of one of the advantages of the assessment process from the city's perspective is the city actually finances these projects and then allows a 5-year payback from the property owner. That's one of the key aspects to assessment projects.
Questions, Mark? Thank you. Others who wish to address the council on item number 22? Not council discussion. We've got this 22. We've got a motion been made and seconded on item 22. Further discussion? Not all in favor of the motion to approve item 22 will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmembers Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present have voted 6 yes, one no, and one excused. Item 22 has been approved. Item 23.
Item 23 is a resolution declaring the necessity to grade, gravel, construct curb and gutter with driveway approaches, construct sidewalk, storm sewer, asphalt surfacing, streetlights, water main, and sanitary sewer on South Valley View Road from West 12th Street to West 16th Street, and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
This portion of Valley View Road is a 2-lane paved rural section. It will be realigned and constructed to an urban section with sidewalk on the east side of the street. The realignment will eliminate the one-leg intersection at Valley View Road and 16th Street, where we've had several crashes. There are 6 affected property owners that will be assessed for these improvements. The cost estimate is $425,000, and the majority of these costs will be assessed. The affected property owners support the project. And up on the screen right now is what the new realigned roadway will look like.
Questions of Chad on item number 23? Others that wish to address the council on item number 23? All, is there a motion to approve item 23?
Move for approval.
Kavanaugh moved. Is there a second?
Second. Benega.
Benega seconded. Further comments on that motion to approve? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. The others vote no.
Councilmember Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 23 has been approved. Item 24.
Item 24 is a resolution declaring the necessity to grade, gravel, construct curb and gutter with driveway approaches, construct sidewalk, storm sewer, asphalt surfacing, street lights, water main, and sanitary sewer on North Van Epps Avenue from East Benson Road to 300 feet south, and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
This portion of Van Epps Avenue is a gravel road. It will be constructed to an urban section with sidewalk on the west side of the street. There are 2 affected property owners that will be assessed for these improvements. The cost estimate is $200,000, and the majority of these costs will be assessed. A requirement of the development plan for the strip mall on the west side of the street was that Van Epps is improved. The property owner on the east does not support the project, but he has been working with us on the design. That cost estimate of $200,000, it is there's going to be a retaining wall have to be built. We are working through some final design issues to try to eliminate that retaining wall, which would bring the cost down.
Questions of Chad? Bob Litz.
Chad, I haven't been up there to look at this project yet, but where does, now I know where the big green field is here, there's a strip mall went in there right now. Does this North Van Epps take you around to the back of the strip mall or give somebody else access?
Yes, I mean, there's access just to the strip mall, and then part of this project will be installing utilities down to that south limit on here, which will allow the owner south of there to hook into sanitary sewer if so desired.
Very good, thank you.
Kermit?
Yeah, Chad, on this, we have 2 affected property owners. We were talking earlier about, 54% of the people were in favor of another project, 46% against. Here we have a 50-50. So we don't have a majority favoring this.
Usually what we would do on a petition is if we had at least 50%. In this case, we have 50.
But 50% is not a majority.
I think state law says that if the council would approve this resolution on this tonight, there is a period where 55% of the benefiting properties could stop the project, but in that case, we only have 50.
Further comments, questions of Chad, I should say.
Chad, you mentioned that utilities will be brought south to the, I presume it's that metal building or whatever, right to the west of Van Epps.
We will stop right at that.
Okay, is that individual contributing to the cost of the road or anything?
We will file a cost recovery against that, and if he would hook into that, he would have to pay.
So then do the other two property owners get reimbursed?
Well, no, they will, I mean, they're paying their fair share. There'll be a portion of this that'll be a cost recovery filed against this gentleman.
Okay. So the city, in essence, is paying that portion now?
A small portion of it. Okay. When and if he hooks in, then he'll be assessed.
Okay.
Further questions, Chad? Others that wish to address the council on item number 24? See no one come forward. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, let's.
Let's move. Is there a second?
Question first. Chad, the property at the south end of that, does it have access to Van Epps?
Yes.
And he is not being assessed anything?
We're not building it, we're only building it the first 300 feet.
But the other individual will have access?
Via the gravel road.
And his lot is gravelled in the back?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, Jameson seconded it. Further comments on that motion? See none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 24 has been approved. Item 25.
Item 25 is a resolution vacating the north 25 feet of East Walnut Street adjacent to lots 9, 10, and 11, Block 12, Riverside Addition.
This portion of Walnut Street is east of Cliff Avenue in the John Morrell area. This section of Walnut Street does not contain any utilities and is unimproved. A utility easement will not be maintained. This area was annexed into the city after the petitioner's home was constructed. The structure is located 1 foot from the north right-of-way line and is considered to be a non-standard lot. The vacated right-of-way will allow the property owner's lot to be considered standard with the proper setbacks. The petitioner has complied with our street vacation policy and is present tonight to answer any questions. Engineering has no opposition to the street vacation. I would like to comment, last time I was asked, why aren't we vacating the entire portion of the Walnut Street? I think when we come forward to vacate this, we want to do it in a manner so we can vacate it and then get in there and take that sidewalk out. And he would like his lot to be conforming before that time frame.
Bob Jameson.
When that happens, then, Chad, will the adjacent landowners, are they going to file a petition to vacate?
I think city staff is going to route the petition and have a public meeting to let everybody know what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
Publix.
Chad, I know we've spent a lot of time on this, what would seem like a small thing, but I think we've got it right. I think we're heading in the right direction. I sure would like to vacate this tonight and give that gentleman the ability to do what he wants to with his property. So thank you for your patience and hard work on this, as well as the gentleman in the audience who's been affected by this.
Further questions of Chad? Others that wish to address the council on item number 25? Not. This takes 6 votes to vacate, so is there a motion to approve the vacation?
So moved.
Let's move. Who seconded?
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments on that motion? Not all in favor of the motion to vacate will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmembers Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 25 has been approved. Item 26.
Item 26 is a resolution amending the City of Sioux Falls engineering design standards.
The design standards are engineering principles that we use to provide the citizens of Sioux Falls a safe, cost-effective, and efficient public infrastructure system. These standards are reviewed and revised annually. These proposed revisions have been approved by the Infrastructure Review and Advisory Board, and then the proposed revisions were presented to the Land Use Committee on February 25th. We are proposing changes to 6 of our 15 chapters, and tonight I will highlight a few of the changes. The first change is in Chapter 8, Street Design and Pavement Thickness. We have added language regarding access management. Our principles and standards are based on the Access Management Manual. This is a document produced by the Transportation Research Board of the National Academies. The National Academies are advisors to the nation on science, engineering, and medicine. We have also added language regarding our functional street classifications, and we've added design standards for medians, roundabouts, sidewalks, and bicycle paths. A lot of what we've added are things we have been doing as we have constructed medians and sidewalk and bicycle paths. We just never had them down in these standards. And with the roundabouts, we're going to have one built this summer, maybe 2, so we've included language for our design consultants to use to follow for designing roundabouts. Chapter 9, Sanitary Sewer, we added language regarding the temporary policy on temporary pump stations and force mains. That was approved by resolution. Chapter 10, we added information regarding water mains, that hydrants will be installed on both sides of arterial streets, and included language regarding the protection of fire hydrants. Chapter 12, Erosion and Sediment Control. The major change is that we have removed straw bales as an acceptable sediment barrier. We've seen a lack of availability with the straw bales, and there are maintenance issues associated with that. You were all given, I believe, a very detailed copy of our changes, all of our changes, and I do have staff here tonight to answer any questions you may have.
Questions to Chad, item 26. Bob Jameson.
Chad, there was some discussion when you were talking to the Land Use Committee about access permits could be obtained any time during the process. Is there a time that access permits have to be established? Is that prior to the preliminary plan, final plan, or what?
Right now, access is not approved until we receive and approve a final plan. What we see is there's a lot of need for people want to sell their land and they want to know where their access is going to be prior to doing a preliminary plan and doing the final plan. So now what we've done is we've included a mean by this permit where they can do the necessary work, some initial layouts and maybe a traffic study, and they can come in at any time. We can review their numbers, run the calculations to make sure they're not going to have any adverse effects on the traffic operations, and then we will sign an access permit, which will approve their permit and access location.
Well, the discussion that I would have is that by the time that you've presented a preliminary plan to the City Council for approval, that access should have been established by that time, because that really lays out the land use of that property, and access becomes a key factor in land use. I would think that we would have the opportunity to establish the access permit at any time in the process, but no later than the preliminary plan, because to me, the preliminary plan is the one that you're going to possibly sell land from, because that's what you've proposed is the use of that property. Both you've zoned it by a category. You haven't necessarily laid out the streets, but you have zoned it. That access would be a factor that you'd want to have established at that time. It's just...
We are working through revisions to the subdivision ordinance right now. Part of the subdivision ordinance deals with the process and what is included in a preliminary plan, what is approved in a preliminary plan, and then the same for final plans. One of the things that the Infrastructure Review and Advisory Board wanted us to do was to work through Chapter 8 and the access issues and the access permit And once we've worked that out, we're bringing the changes here. Now we will move back to the subdivision ordinance, and we are having these discussions in the subdivision ordinance right now.
So that will be taken up later on in the discussion?
Well, I think the access is not approved at the preliminary plan stage. But what this access permit does is it allows somebody that wants to sell his land to come in, do minimal work, don't do the full preliminary plan engineering work, and don't do the more detailed final plan engineering work, but just do what he has to do to guarantee and get that access approved. And this is what members of IRAB and the development community have requested that we do.
Well, I guess my only concern is that if we're selling a concept on a piece of property, and now we're going to develop it, that access becomes the key factor to the net worth of that project. I think that's one of the things that you need to have established somewhere in the plan before it gets too far down the road, that we have established the access permits so that the developer, the person buying the property, knows exactly what the access is to that property. And I think we need to get somewhere in there so that it's established. It's just, I guess I'm speaking because I'm vitally interested in these type things, but it's one of those things that I think it's only fair to both sides.
You know, part of the discussion through Chapter 8 and the design standards and also with the subdivision ordinance has been at what time are things approved. We said, well, maybe we should eliminate the preliminary plans. And they said, no, maybe we should have everything approved at the preliminary plan. And then some said, well, wait a minute, we don't want to put that much work initially into the final plan. So, you know, there's been a lot of good discussion, and I'm pretty confident this is what the majority of the development community has agreed to.
Okay, thank you.
Bob Litz.
But Chad, I understand what Bob's trying to say, but what occurred to me while Mr. Jameson was speaking was that sometimes developers that have a piece of property that sits or it becomes apparent to them that they want to change the use or the configuration of it later on, would the access permit, as long as it was an approved location, allow them to cut in and access at a later date?
If the land use changed or the land was rezoned and it generated more traffic, we would have to go back in and evaluate that permit again.
Okay, so the permit would not, the permit doesn't go with the property, it goes with the location as well as the property.
Yes, and then and it's based on the land use.
Okay, so
I'm scared.
if they wanted to cut in another access someplace else, they'd need another permit.
Yes, and we would, go through the same process.
Very good, thank you.
Other questions to Chad on item number 26? Bob Jameson.
I guess just who has final approval then for the access permit?
The access permit will be reviewed. What we're thinking, there is some engineering work that has to be done as far as the traffic model. We're envisioning that engineering, since we have all of the traffic information on the adjoining streets, that we would provide that as a service. And we will be coming back with an ordinance with a fee associated with that type of permit. But it'd be the engineering department that would make the decision on the access location.
Chad, is the permit fee to cover engineering costs, design costs?
It'll be our time for running the program, having property meetings. If the location is at a quarter-mile collector point, we would facilitate the discussion with all of the property owners. If there was a drainage way that we had to move the location of that street 100 feet either way, we would facilitate those discussions with the developers, so we were all in agreement to where that access point would be.
Thank you.
Further questions of Chad on item number 26? Others that wish to address the council on item number 26? Council discussion or motion?
Move to approve.
Let's move. Is there a second?
Second, Benninger.
Benninger seconded. Further comments on that motion to approve? Bob Jameson.
I don't want to dwell on access permits, but it's a key factor to the value of land, especially on corners of
of arterials and collectors. And I think that we need to be very careful that we have an established process that the developer goes through to gain access to his property, primarily because when he goes to sell it, access is a key, and I think we need to make sure that that's given full consideration.
We have, in that language, we have classified the different arterial streets. There'll be 3 different classifications, and as the classification lessens from a 1 to a 2, the access requirements will also lessen. So we'll try to, our 57th Street, a arterial 1, we will try to maintain access more stringently on that section of road.
You mentioned 57th. From Cliff Avenue to Minnesota Avenue, access is a critical factor that we goofed on, but anyway.
Got a motion made, seconded. Kermit?
Yeah, in the Land Use Committee, we did spend a lot of time dealing with these different changes, and I guess since we spent so much time in Land Use Committee on access, that's still one of the concerns I do have, because I'm concerned that we're creating too many restrictions on access. And also another concern I have is the center barriers, the medians. Those 2 things in themselves, I'm concerned are going to hurt mobility in Sioux Falls, to make it more difficult for people to drive around Sioux Falls. We're going to get more people doing U-turns, using back streets and so forth like this. And we should be moving in a direction towards easier mobility for the people of Sioux Falls. So those are the 2 primary concerns I have.
If I could respond. A lot of what we're doing here is trying to provide a safe, cost-effective, and efficient infrastructure system. The manual I referred to summarizes several studies that have been done all across the country, and I would just like to highlight a few things that these studies have indicated. As the number of access points increase, so does the crash rates. Roadways with medians are safer than undivided roadways with left turns. U-turns are generally safer than direct left turns, and medians improve pedestrian safety by providing an island out there where they can get to and then wait for the next signal.
But if I could just reply, I mean, intuitively, I think probably most people would say that U-turns are not safer than those left turns. Intuitively, it just doesn't seem that way. I mean, when I'm in Florida visiting my father, I have to do a lot of U-turns, and I'm always very concerned I'm going to be hitting somebody because it's chaotic down there. But also, too, the study that you were referring to doesn't seem to indicate that with less access, you get more crashes in parking lots as people are, trying to move around parking lots because they have such limited access. And I don't think that's been brought out either in that study.
Got a motion made and seconded to approve item 16. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 26 has been approved. Item 27.
Item 27 is a resolution amending the 2008-2012 capital program.
This is a resolution that deals back with item number 15. This would be the resolution to amend the CIP to reflect the activities that have been taking place or have taken place now with relation to item 15.
Questions? Others wish to address the council on item 27? Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Kavanaugh moved. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconded. Further comments on the motion? Kermit?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, when we dealt with item 15, I'm glad that we're going to be spending more money on streets in Sioux Falls, but still we have simply too many wants in this capital improvement program. So once again, I would wish that in the future we'd spend more time on these needs rather than on these wants.
Pat?
Mr. Mayor, I have an amendment to the resolution to accommodate the changes we made in the original ordinance. I'll submit that as is.
Go ahead. I haven't seen it. Is there-
That'll take the parks land up to $2,254,510, and then add the additional funding for streets and engineering.
Correct.
Plus the 100,000 from the sales tax, unless that's not in the...
That's not in here.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
not in.
Okay, that's your motion.
Yes, sir.
Second.
Second, Kavanaugh.
Further comments on the motion to amend? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
All members present voted, 7 yes and 1 excused. That motion has been approved. Other motions? Now, we got a motion been made and seconded to approve as amended. See no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve, will vote yes. Those
Point of
opposed-
order, Mayor. Do we need to add that 100,000 for the convention?
Do we need to do it, Gary? I guess because that's been approved already, so, okay.
So we got a motion been made and seconded to approve as amended. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion will vote yes. Opposed, no.
I'm sorry, can I be told who made the motion to amend it?
To amend was Costello and Kavanaugh.
Okay.
The makers of the motion were Kavanaugh and Benega, and then the motion to amend.
Okay, sorry, thank you. Councilmembers Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
No.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello. Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
All members present voted. That motion has been approved as amended, 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 28.
Item 28 is a resolution of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rescinding Resolution Number 1008, combining the school district election with the regular city election on April 8th, 2008, using super precincts.
Deborah Owen, City Clerk. This is just to rescind a resolution that the council had adopted earlier last month concerning the joint election. Because there was there's only one candidate running for the school district seat. They need not have an election this year, and so we'll be on our own.
Questions on item 28? Others that wish to address the council on item 28? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Jamison.
Jamison moved. Is there a second?
Second, Benninger.
Benega seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve? No more further discussion. All in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmember Litz.
Yes.
Staggers.
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 28 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 29.
Item 29 is a proposed resolution vacating South Ebenezer Avenue from Graceland Court to Graceland Court with West Graceland Court, from Ebenezer Avenue to Ebenezer Avenue and West Botel Place, from Ebenezer Avenue to end as shown on the Exhibit A.
These improved streets are north of 26th Street between Interstate 29 and Marion Road. A utility easement will be maintained. The petitioner plans to move the existing structures and build 2 apartment buildings to begin with. The petitioner has complied with our street vacation policy.
Okay, further questions of Chad on item 29? Let's go to 30.
Item 30 is a proposed resolution vacating North Cliff Avenue Row and North Drive Row from the southeast corner of Section 4, 10149 of the 5th PM, Minnehaha County, South Dakota, to the south row line of East Amadon Street, extended east to the section line, except that part abutting County Auditor's Trail 4 in the southeast one-fourth of said Section 4 is shown on Exhibit A.
This unimproved right-of-way is north of the Street Department campus and was reconfigured during the Cliff Avenue reconstruction last summer. A utility easement will be maintained. The petitioner plans to develop the site, and the petitioner has complied with our street vacation policy.
Questions of Chad on item number 30? Let's go to 31.
Item 31 is a proposed resolution vacating the alley adjacent to lots 4, 5, 14, 15, Block 18, J.L. Phillips Edition.
This portion of the alley is east of the Washington Pavilion and bordered by 11th Street and 12th Street and then Main Avenue, and then Phillips Avenue. The alley is paved and contains sanitary and storm sewer. A utility easement will be maintained. The petitioner is remodeling the building at 314 South Main Avenue, and that building will house offices of the federal government. The federal government requires limited access and plans to install gates in that alley, the first one being at 12th Street, and then one on the north edge of our vacation limits. All parties that need access for parking and access to their businesses will have access cards. The petitioner has complied with our street vacation policy.
Questions of Chad on item number 31? None. Is there a motion to set the hearing date for items 29 through 31 for April 14?
So moved, Litz.
Let's move. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Bennigan seconded. Further comments? All in favor of the motion to set the hearing date for items 29 through 31 for April 14th? Vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Benninga,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
The hearing date has been set 7 yes and 1 excused for items 29 through 31 for April 14th. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Kavanaugh moved. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Let's second. All in favor of that motion to adjourn? Vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Benninga,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
We stand adjourned.